Hi everyone and welcome to the new video. My name is Dimitri and I work as an embedded software developer. Today I want to show you a very interesting Meshtastic board, a SenseCAP P1-Pro node made by Seed Studio. This board is interesting for several reasons that I will show in the video. But first I want to say thanks to OpenELAB web shop for sponsoring this video. OpenELAB sent me this board for testing. And this shop has a nice choice of different Meshtastic products, and maybe in the future I will review others as well. If you want to buy a P1-Pro Solar Node for yourself, the link is added in the video description. Again, thanks OpenELAB for sending me this board, and now let's start with the test. Please keep in mind that this review is independent, it is not a paid advertisement, and I will tell you my personal opinion about the product. And now let's get started. And first I will briefly explain what is a Meshtastic. As we can see on the page, Meshtastic is an open source decentralized network. And it is a very interesting technology because it is a mesh network. When the node receiving a message, it can forward it to the next nodes and so on. Also, as we can see that these messages are encrypted, you can have public channel and you can create a private channel. Also, because it is a mesh network, nodes can communicate with each other even if they are not in a direct line of sight. Meshtastic also has a phone app, so people can use it as a standard messenger, and there are many use cases for that. You can exchange messages with other people even in the middle of nowhere, where there are no internet providers available, or you can use it for IoT purposes, for example to send the telemetry data. Nowadays Meshtastic ecosystem is rapidly growing and there are many devices on the market. For example, there are Meshtastic devices with the keyboard, made in the style of the old BlackBerry phone. There are portable devices that can easily fit in the pocket. There are DIY solutions like this Heltec board. I also did a review of it, feel free to watch it if you want. As we can see, there are different regions and different frequencies. So before using the board you need to specify the proper frequency, you need to specify the region. So you can read the documentation on your own, and now let's start with the test. As for this SenseCAP board, there are two models available. Apparently they have the same hardware and the only difference is here. A P1-Pro board has batteries installed. There are 4 18650 batteries and it also has a GPS module. Other specs are the same. Do you really need GPS or not? It's an open question. In my opinion, this node is stationary, and if you put it on the roof or something like this, you can just specify the coordinates in the phone app and that is it. So technically you don't need the GPS. GPS can be useful if you're going to install this node on a van or something like that. Then the coordinates may be changed, of course, and having a GPS is important. Apparently, at least for now, the difference is only 10 euros. So practically it may be cheaper to buy the board with the batteries included, because I think that on Amazon the batteries will be more expensive. And now let's configure the board and see how it works. Finally, it's time to test the real device. And from this picture we can already get the idea. We have a big 5 watt solar panel, we have a mounting bracket and we have an antenna. Let's open the box and see what is inside. And the first thing I see is a large solar panel. This Seed Studio node is ready for outdoor mount. Here I can see some connectors and we will figure it out a bit later. We also have a short installation manual. This is the antenna cable that allows to put the antenna a bit higher. This can be useful. Also keep in mind that you should not connect the device without the antenna, otherwise you can burn the transmitter. This is a bracket for mounting. Obviously we can screw it in place. Last but not least, we have some cables and mounting screws. Now it's time to configure the board and see how it works. And because it is a new device, as a first step I will update the firmware to the latest version. First I connected the antenna. As I mentioned before, you shouldn't connect the device without the antenna, otherwise you can damage the transmitter. And the next step is easy. I must connect the node to the computer and open the website flashermeshtastic.org. We can see the URL on the screen. As we can see here, there are many nodes available, and first I need to select Seed Studio. And here is the node I have, SenseCAP Solar Node. Various versions are available. I decided to select the beta version. You can choose the alpha if you want. And here we have two buttons: flash a new firmware or erase flash. This board was not used before, so I don't need to delete the old data. And here we can see a changelog. And the flashing itself is easy. I need to press the button enter DFU mode. First I need to select the serial port, and I need to be sure that the port is present, otherwise I need to check the cable. As we can see, everything is fine. And now I can see that the new drive appeared in my system, and I need to press the download button and to save the firmware on this drive, and that is it. Apparently the microcontroller has restarted because the drive disappeared and I see no messages on the screen. Now I can open the Meshtastic app and connect the new device to my phone. Okay, now the firmware should be updated, and let's see how it works. I'm pressing scan and we can see that new board is available. The recommended pin is 000. Obviously there is no screen here. Now 0 did not work. I will try 1, 2, 3, 4. I checked the manual and it turned out that the code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as we can see, the board is connected. I will check the settings. First I need to set my region. I live in Europe, so I set a European region. All other settings I will keep as default. And after pressing save, the board should be restarted. I had to restart Meshtastic app, and after that the board is connected. We can verify the board settings. Maybe I need to change the board name. I can name it P1-Pro. As we can see, it works, and the board already got the first message. Okay, now the node is configured, and let's see how it works. All Meshtastic functionality is available via the app. It may be surprising because Meshtastic is designed as an off-grid communication, but the thing is, the phone is using only the Bluetooth connection, and all radio communication is done by the Meshtastic node itself. So practically you don't need internet or mobile data to send and receive Meshtastic messages. Especially for the node like this with a solar panel. Let's say if the power will be down in the whole city, this node will continue working, and I will be able to send and receive messages from other nodes, while my phone has a power, of course. Still, it is cool. And the Meshtastic app is pretty powerful. As we can see, this node is pretty big, by the way. Meshtastic app has a lot of features, and its interface is convenient for people who use messengers, so it's easy to use. For example, we can have a public channel, we can see different messages, we can scroll them. We can also see the list of available nodes, and as we can see, this list is pretty large. As the name suggests, Meshtastic is based on mesh technology, so nodes can retransfer messages one to another. We can send and receive messages to the public topic. We can also send and receive message to the specific board. For example, here I have a Heltec board. As we can see, its ID is B62C. I can select this node in the app, open menu, direct message, and send hello world. Practically the message was sent via Bluetooth to this big node, and this P1-Pro node sent it via the radio interface to this board. Now I can open this board and we can see this blinking icon. And we can see this message on the screen. The same way it works in other direction. If someone is sending me a message, it will appear in the phone app, and I will get also an Android notification for that. So the app is pretty powerful. And I must repeat again that this network is completely off-grid. All communication is based on radio waves. It will work without internet, without mobile data. Meshtastic app has an internal map, and as we can see, lots of nodes available on the map. Also, we can change the parameters. If we have several boards, we can switch between them. So as we can see, the app works well. And now I will show what is inside the node, and I will keep it running for the test. I know that the curiosity killed the cat, but I am still curious what is inside this node. So I am opening it for the viewers, and let's see what's inside the box. And as we can see, the process is simple, there are only screws around, no special screws, no glue, that is nice. And now let's see what is inside. As we can see, most of the space is consumed by the batteries. Here we have the antenna connector, and this is probably the LoRa module because the wire is going here. As we can see, it is a specially designed board, and we see the label Meshtastic repeater. And we have 3 buttons: power, user and reset. As we can see, the design is good and it is also waterproof. Now I will close the case back, and as a first test I will just keep the board running for several days on my window. Why it is important? This P1-Pro node has a solar panel and the battery, so it can be really good as a backup solution for the emergency communication. Even if there is no electricity, it will work. So I will keep the node running on my window for several days, and I will see if the solar panel is enough to keep the battery charged. And now I'm placing the node on the window and I will keep it running for several days. And with the magic of the video you will see the results right now. And as we can see, the results are good. I can open the app, I select the node, then I scroll down and I can select device metrics. Here I can switch between 1 hour, 24 hours or all measurements. And as we can see, the node was running for several days. It's about 3 or 4 days here. And as we can see, the battery level didn't drop down, it even increased, and now it's almost 100%. Also, I can open list of nodes, and I can select show direct nodes. And as we can see, the maximum distance is more than 6 kilometers, which is a good result. And that is it for the first part of this video. Thanks for watching. I want to make a long-term test. It will take at least 2 weeks. I want to put the node on my balcony, and I want to see if the solar power will be sufficient in the bad weather, when it is cloudy for several days. I also will perform a range test, and I want to see if the better antenna will allow me to get better range results. As for my first impression, I like this node, it works well. It has a good antenna, it works autonomously, it can be installed outdoors or even work indoors. I didn't have any problems with that. Thanks again OpenELAB for sending me this node. If you want to buy the same one, the links are in the video description below. Thanks for watching and see you next time.